Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denice Scary Show. This is Denice here with you today, and I want to say thank you, Philip Haney, former Department of Homeland Security intelligence official, for coming on the broadcast today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you. You know, due to your several years of service at the Department of Homeland Security on Islamic terrorism, you were involved in doing tremendous research and work on the linkages, the patterns of terrorist groups here in the United States and, it's my understanding, overseas. And we want to go directly to Representatives Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Ilhan Omar has given speeches for CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations. From what I understand, this is a Muslim Brotherhood front group. She has asked a U.S. court to show sympathy towards an ISIS, Islamic State, follower and sympathizer. She has suggested that there's moral equivalence between the United States government, the U.S. Army, and Al-Qaeda. Rashida Tlaib has had photographs taken and has supported individuals that are members and activists affiliated with the Party of God, Hizballah. And indeed, these women continue to suggest and make very anti-Semitic, racist, and bigoted comments against the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Do you believe, sir, based on, I believe it was 10 years plus of service with the Department of Homeland Security, that these two freshman congresswomen in the United States Congress might be affiliated with terrorist groups or with individuals with ties to terror groups?
Thank you. It's a great question, and it's bubbled up to the surface of the national dialogue, which I'm glad for. I'm glad that we're finally talking about it. But I'm going to answer you from two perspectives, Denice. From the perspective of active duty but now retired law enforcement officer with the federal government with a specialty in counterterrorism that studied these groups like CAIR. But I'm also going to tell you from the perspective of a person who spent 5 months. At this time last year, I was literally on the ground in either Michigan or in Minnesota during the primary campaign and or the general election, the midterm elections. And I'm telling you that because I saw Rashida Tlaib, I saw Omar Ilhan, I saw Linda Sarsour, I saw all the people that were running for offices in these two upper Midwest key states. So I saw it from both sides of the equation. I talked to Dawood Walid with CAIR. I ran into all the operatives of the campaigns, literally face to face, which is a little weird, I must tell you, when you track people as an intelligence officer and then in a different capacity meet them in real life. But I did. And to answer your question, it's not my opinion, it's a fact. And the fact was established by the federal government, none other than the Department of Justice, who brought forward the trial that a lot of us have heard about, the Holy Land Foundation trial, which was held in Dallas, Texas, approximately from somewhere in 2006 up through 2008, and concluded successfully for our side, for the DOJ, with convictions of 5 individuals on around 102 counts of overt direct support to Hamas. But during the course of this trial, in the discovery and evidence, they showed that CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, was a direct front group for Hamas. So, if you follow that through, and that has not changed from 2008 till 2019, if you're a member of Congress and you're speaking by invitation before Council on American Islamic in public arena, public events, then you are by default affiliated with a known terrorist group. That's how we calculated it when I was an intelligence officer. If you, as a person, are affiliated with a known terrorist group, that puts you on the radar, period. You are. And if over time, collecting of information, which is what I did for a living, you have what we call indicators, or it's also known as connecting the dots, it comes to a logical conclusion. This person is directly involved in the activities, in the goals of a known terrorist group. That's Ilhan Omar, that's Rashida Tlaib, that's Andre Carson, that's Keith Ellison, and I'm not afraid to name them because it's all been done in public.
Isn't CAIR, though, sir, wasn't that established as a result of the Muslim Brotherhood activity here in the United States? And
Yes.
they're just okay, yes. And it is their desire, it's my understanding, that they are wanting to recruit individuals like Omar and Rashida Tlaib, in order to be elected into state houses and into the United States Congress for the purpose of spreading Islamic law. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I wrote about this in an article on Front Page Magazine. I don't remember the exact title. It has something to do with the ominous roadmap of the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. It was the 27th of January, 2017. 2 days, 23rd of January, 2017, 2 days after the inauguration. I wrote it so that it would be put into the public record.
Why did you? I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That this organization, which is yet another front group for the Muslim Brotherhood, but they are the kind of the sun that all the planets in the solar system orbit around, meaning all the planets in the Muslim Brotherhood solar system is the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. They wrote a fatwa dated November 28, 2016, right after the election, allowing, giving permission, authorizing members of the Muslim community in America, they are called the Al-Muslima al-Islamiyya al-Qaeda. Yes, I used the word al-Qaeda. The Al-Qaeda, the observant Muslim base in America, to form alliances with leftist organizations because they called the election of President Trump a calamity. Don't think that Rashida Tlaib or Omar Ilhan or Linda Sarsour or Keith Ellison would be involved in the political arena if they were admonished by their leadership not to do it. But just the opposite happened. They have been endorsed to do it. And boy, are they doing it.
They are. And based on your maybe contacts with people that still might be involved in the intelligence community, I imagine since President Trump has come out and acknowledged the sovereignty of Israel over the Golan Heights, moved the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Israel's eternal capital, Jerusalem, closed the PLO mission in the city of New York, and has worked to establish peace by basically telling the Palestinians that Jerusalem is off the table. It seems as though this assembly of Muslim jurists, which I'm familiar with, and I understand, I wasn't familiar with their fatwa, but I'm familiar with them as an organization. Do you think they're becoming increasingly more radicalized, and so they're pushing people like Representatives Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib to call for impeachment?
It's counterintuitive. They're not becoming increasingly more radicalized. They're already that way. What they're doing is moving forward incrementally with their strategic plan. And they decided that it was worth the risk to push younger generation. This is the face of the Al-Qaeda, the observant Muslim base. I don't mean to be confusing. Al-Qaeda is not an organization over in Iraq and Syria. It never was an organization. It's a concept. This term Al-Qaeda was in the explanatory memorandum. Al-Qaeda is the base of operation
That's
of
its
the
meaning.
Muslim Brotherhood in North America. And these younger people, like Rashida and Ilhan and Keith Ellison, are the face of it, the new generation of it. They have been endorsed to do this. This is not radicalization. This is not a one-off. These are marching orders for these people.
And sir, where do you believe these marching orders are coming from? Do you believe it's coming from the imams in mosques here in California and Michigan and Minnesota and across the country? I mean, there are so many mosques today that support Islamic terrorism. Do you believe they're getting this inside their mosques?
It's just think of a pyramid. The AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, is the top of the pyramid, and everything goes down from there through the hierarchy of authority down to the mosque, and then the grassroots level, family to family and person to person. Believe me, in the worldview of Islam and the hierarchy of authority, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, etc., would not be out in the public arena promoting these goals if they had not been authorized to do it from the chain of command hierarchy. The Assembly of Muslim Jurists, I'd like to tell you the name of it in Arabic because it's very revealing. It's called Majama Fuqaha al-Sharia al-Amrikiya.
Ah.
You hear the third and the fourth word,
yeah, Sharia.
Sharia in America.
Islamic law. Mm-hmm.
They're not even shy about it in Arabic, and that's the myopia, the disconnect that we're having.
I don't think that people understand, sir, that the Muslim Brotherhood is indeed an organization that supports the goals of Al-Qaeda, but has suggested, at least in the statements that I have read.
It's the other way around. Al-Qaeda supports the goals of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay.
Not the Muslim Brotherhood supporting the goals. Ayman al-Zawahiri, along with 4 other well-known sheikhs, one of whom we've heard a lot about, Osama bin Laden, are the ones that formed Al-Qaeda in October of 1988 in Peshawar, Pakistan. But another thing about that is that it wasn't just 5 individuals that founded Al-Qaeda, the base. It was never called Al-Qaeda, by the way. They did not call themselves Al-Qaeda. They called themselves the Global Jihad Front. There were 14 other organizations that pledged Bayah, which means loyalty, to the original organization we know of today as Al-Qaeda. 14 organizations and 5 individuals. Ayman al-Zawahiri, who's still living today, was a member of Jama'a al-Islamiyah. That's the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt.
And let's talk about the Muslim Brotherhood for just a moment. With respect to the President of the United States, President Trump, from what I've read, is actually working with his advisors to possibly or eventually designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group. Do you know anything about this, sir?
I've been following it since Michelle Bachmann first introduced the proposal through the House back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
To designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization.
Have you, are you, I'm sure you're very much aware of the fact that the president of Egypt, Abdel el-Sisi, when he came to the United States, actually asked the President Trump, to please designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization because he's fighting it himself inside Egypt. Can you speak to that for just a moment?
You're right, he did. Remember, he put the entire leadership of the Ikhwan, the Muslim Brotherhood, into
prison.
Jail.
Right.
So, yeah, he's very serious about it.
Yes, he is.
They've already designated the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group.
Right. It was illegal for Barack Hussein Obama when he went there originally in 2009 to invite the Muslim Brotherhood to come here and speak at Al-Azhar University in the capital city of Cairo.
Can you imagine if somebody from, I don't know, Khomeini comes here and invites all the Hezbollah guys to come to a speech that he gives in Washington, D.C.?
No, I can't imagine. And I thought
that's exactly what happened when President Obama went to Al-Azhar University June 4th, 2009, and invited, I have pictures, the whole leadership of the Egyptian Ikhwan, the Muslim Brotherhood, to sit in the front of the audience.
Right.
I mean, you talk about audacity.
I know. It was incredible to me that he would actually violate the law of a foreign country as a visitor to that country. I mean, he's got a lot of chutzpah to actually to disrespect.
But yeah, I was an active duty officer right then, and see, that was 2009. I'd already been working on the Muslim Brotherhood network in the United States for 3+ years by that time. So can you imagine what it must have felt like to see my own president go over to the homeland of the Muslim Brotherhood and invite them to participate in one of his major foreign policy speeches? How weird it must have been.
Yes, can you comment, please, about what possibly you and your fellow officers, officials there? I mean, what were some of the comments made by other individuals that were tasked with the responsibility of monitoring this kind of activity? Can you speak to some of the comments that were made?
I can't say it on the radio.
Okay.
But I can paraphrase it.
All right.
Hold on to your hats and fasten your seatbelts. We're in for a bumpy ride.
You certainly were. Real quick, I want to go to your book. Ladies and gentlemen, Department of Homeland Security intelligence official Philip Haney wrote a book called See Something, Say Nothing. See Something, Say Nothing. And I want to call your attention to page 174. You talk about, sir, the Muslim Brotherhood and Benghazi. And I've been doing a series on Benghazi, and you mentioned, again, on page 174, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama's Secretary of State, talked about in London how the Brotherhood-led Libyan Transitional National Council, in its revolt against Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi, was a group, i.e. the Muslim Brotherhood-led group in Libya was a group she was supporting. And you talk about the fact that the White House and senior congressional members deliberately, and I'm quoting from your book, quote, deliberately and knowingly pursued a policy that provided material support to terrorist organizations. In your book, sir, you talk about how also the Defense Intelligence Agency director, who at that time was Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who was literally crucified by Mueller's staff of prosecutors, how he issued a report in August, just prior to 9/11, and pointing out that the administration was secretly transporting weapons from Benghazi to Syria in small ships. And it's my understanding that our former Secretary of State Clinton actually stood to gain financially from those arms sales. Do you want to speak to that, sir, for just a moment?
I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
It's really nice to have a chance to talk about some of these things.
Thank
because,
you.
They've been out there, as you said, and the book was out in 2016. Now we're in 2019. I'll try to be as brief as I can. There's three main points. The U.S. government was shipping small arms shipments to to Syria from Libya.
Right.
That's number one. Mm-hmm. Next question is, who are they giving them to? They were giving them to Jabhat al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda of Iraq, and another group we've all heard of, the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
They didn't change their name in Syria because they wanted the world to know that we're back. And this was in retribution for what Assad's father did to them in the 80s. He killed 30,000 of them in the 80s. Number three, the U.S. administration encouraged this coalition that they were supplying arms to take eastern Syria as a buffer between Iran and Assad. And they did it. And then guess what they did? They looked over the border of Iraq and saw the back door of the country was wide open, and they took it in Fallujah. And that's what we know of today as ISIS.
Right. Okay, so do you know anything about the money trail? I would imagine that the Treasury Department must have established some links and a money trail linking Clinton in his involvement in those arms sales. Are you familiar with that at all?
Not the money trail, but I will tell you what I thought.
Okay.
The day that I got the FOIA documents on the Benghazi report. Holy cow, no wonder I was in so much trouble all the time. Here's an officer with the intelligence officer with Department of Homeland Security who's targeting the Muslim Brotherhood in America and by default globally. And my own administration is supplying them with arms on the other side of the world and supporting them. It's no wonder I had a head-on collision with the Obama administration. They were supporting the very same organization that I'd taken a vow to help protect my own country from. Can you imagine? I asked you this before, but can you imagine what it must have been like?
Scary.
To come to that moment of realization. No wonder I was in so much trouble all the time. These people were doing everything they could to stop me from bringing this information to light and to shut me down and discredit me, just like they did with General Flynn, by the way.
Right. Sir, why do you believe that the Obama administration, are you, by the way, let me just back up for just a moment. Are you familiar with the Presidential Study Directive 11 that Barack Hussein Obama issued in 2010, which was, I believe, from what I understand, a document that basically notified key government agencies to provide him a plan to overthrow more secular governments in the Middle East and install Muslim Brotherhood governments. If you were familiar with that directive that was passed in 2010, that must have horrified you as well.
I was horrified by the consequences of it.
Yes.
It remains to this day invisible. But to me, it isn't invisible because I saw the results of that policy. I never read Directive 11, but in a sense, I don't have to.
But it needs to be declassified, sir.
It would be wonderful if it was.
Yeah.
I'd put it in the next book. But the point is that I saw the results of it.
Right.
I saw Directive 11 in real life. Yes, I'd love to see the text of it, but in a sense I don't need to, because I've already seen what it intended to accomplish. See?
I don't know that it accomplished what it was intended to, because because look at Libya today, sir. It's in utter chaos.
Well,
There's no stability.
I call it the shattered mirror. Obama shattered the mirror of the Middle East. It wasn't just Libya. It was also
Egypt, look,
Syria,
right.
Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia.
Iraq.
Obama and his crew, his roster of people, shattered the Middle East. And we're still seeing the consequences of it today, and we will be for quite some time. President Trump's trying to fix it.
Oh, did we just lose the call?
Did, and we're going to be continuously horrified as details come out in the next few weeks, months, and years, because people have no idea what he really did, still to this day. I hope we do find out, but prepare yourself, because you're going to be absolutely horrified the more you find out about what he actually did. He shattered the entire Middle East.
I'm already horrified, sir. I think about all those Yazidi children that were tied up and had to watch their parents being tortured to death. I've seen pictures of Christians crucified to crosses. I've read reports about children literally being tortured to death. Children cut in half for their Christian faith. Yazidi children. Just read a report the other day, a little boy finally was being returned to what's left of his family. There's so much. We have so
and
many.
I was a cop, and I saw this happening, right in front of me. I did all that I was capable of doing, put myself at great risk to try to sound the alarm. I'm glad that I did it.
Well, we are too, sir. We appreciate your work, but it's terrible, the human price.
Yes, that's the part I was going to say. I'm glad I did it, but I sure do wish I didn't have to do it.
Right. But horrible, horrible human rights abuses as a result of this Islamic thinking that I believe is ultimately rooted in the Muslim Brotherhood that came out of that 1922 organization that was created in Egypt.
It's created in 1928, but close enough. The thing is that the Muslim Brotherhood is a revivalist movement. That's another thing that people often miss. A revival of what? What are they trying to revive exactly? The Islamic Caliphate.
Right.
Well, did that ever exist before in history? You bet.
Yes.
For many centuries it existed. The Muslim Brotherhood's ideology is exactly the same as Islam had been for almost 1,400 years before it broke apart because of the influence of the West. And that is why they hate the West so much, because we shattered their world.
Well, we certainly did.
They hate us for it.
Well, we certainly did at the close of World War I, and the Turks were defeated in the Ottoman Empire. Sir, do you believe that the Muslim Brotherhood that was established in Egypt, do you believe that that was a result of that defeat in World War II and the fact that the new Turkish government under the leadership of the dictator Ataturk, who was a military officer, do you believe that when he sought to secularize Turkey ever so slightly by committing mass genocide against the Armenian and Greeks, the Christian population, to establish what I think he considered to be racial superiority by the Turks, and of course religious superiority with respect to Islam, do you believe that the Muslim Brotherhood was a reaction to Ataturk and the end of the Caliphate, the end of the Ottoman Empire, and Turkish dominion?
It was a reaction to Ataturk, but not as genocide.
Right. Of course not. Not
just the fact that he
ended the Caliphate.
Sharia law. That's what they were mad about. They weren't mad about the genocides of the Armenians. They were upset that he abolished Sharia.
But did he really abolish? But isn't that what the genocide, sir, was all about? Isn't that Sharia? They were annihilating a people that didn't submit to Islam.
In that respect, it was in agreement with Sharia.
Yes.
You either submit to Islam
or die.
Basically. And they were not people of the book. Some of them were, but not all.
Right.
The point is that didn't bother them. For example, it didn't bother the Muslim world that Osama bin Laden blew up the embassies in Tanzania and Kenya. That's not what bothered them. What actually bothered them was a fine point of Sharia, that he didn't do what is called dawah first and give them an opportunity to come to Islam. So Ayman al-Zawahiri comes up, puts his arms on the shoulder of Osama bin Laden. Come here, kid. Let me show you how to do this the right way. Fi sabilillah, according to Allah, according to Sharia. And nobody ever complained about Osama bin Laden's after that, did they? Ever.
No.
Whatever he did, it was fine with them because he was following according to Sharia law. And Ayman was a senior to him, Zawahiri, and so he advised his protege, Osama bin Laden. Ayman al-Zawahiri is still alive.
Yes.
He's still running these organizations in the Near East and in the Indian subcontinent to this very day.
You know, we didn't really talk about getting back to Representatives Omar and Tlaib. We're going to have to, bring this interview to an end. But before we do, I want to give you the final word in terms of actual associations Is there anyone within the intelligence community that looks at the tremendous amount of relationships and sympathy that they seem to generate towards terrorist groups? Is there anyone suggesting or talking about the fact that they actually might be followers? Can you answer that question today, sir?
Yeah, I'll answer it by going back to one of your earlier questions about the designation of the Muslim Brotherhood. When that day comes, then you'll know they're really serious.
Okay.
The only reason that people like Rashida Tlaib and Omar Ilhan are affiliated and openly meeting with CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, and other Muslim Brotherhood front groups is because it's legal to do it. The moment comes that they designate the Muslim Brotherhood, a whole lot of that nonsense is going to go away. Of course, there's 100 other members of Congress. It's not just Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. It's at least 100 others who have taken contributions.
Absolutely.
From. Yeah. So why would Ilhan and Rashida be worried about what their colleagues are going to say when they've already set the precedent for the last, 20, 30 years?
Right. Right. Okay. Thank you, sir. We so appreciate your time. Looking forward to having you back very soon. And again, ladies and gentlemen, the book, See Something, Say Nothing. Philip Haney, former DHS intelligence officer. Thank you, Mr. Haney, so much for your time today. We appreciate it. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick, let's go to some commercials. Tomorrow night, right here in Bakersfield, an organization called In God We Trust. This is an organization that a 501c3. You can make a contribution to them by going to their website, www.ingodwetrustamerica.org. They're a nonprofit. They host every year speakers that come. We've got this year keynote speaker Stephen Baldwin. He's an actor, producer, and author, and yes, he is the youngest brother of Alec Baldwin. And we all know Alec Baldwin and his obnoxiousness. But anyway, this is his brother, Stephen Baldwin, known for his television and film career. He's going to be here in Bakersfield tomorrow. And he will be at the Downtown Marriott in Bakersfield if you would like to go. The VIP reception starts at 5:30. The dinner and program begins at 6:30. You can give them a call. And I'm trying to find the phone number here. Oh, here it is. Call this number for tickets if you would like to go tomorrow evening. Again, the VIP reception starts at 5:30. The dinner and program at 6:30. The number to call is 661 area code 332-3492. 661-332-3492. I want to give a shout out to Sculpt 365. This is the best gym in town. They have everything you would ever possibly need to become your best self. They have 3 facilities. Their newest one is there on Brimhall Road. Their number is 679-7116, area code 661. They have another location on Chester Avenue and another in Tehachapi on Sage. Go to their website, Sculpt 365 Fitness. This is a family-owned, local family-owned business. And it's owned and operated by a Navy veteran, Craig Jansen, who's just an absolute great guy. And if you're needing to get a gym or you've already got membership at another gym, let that membership go. Go sign up at Sculpt 365. Also, Frugatti's Restaurant. This again is a family-owned restaurant. It has again won the award for Best Italian Restaurant in all of Kern County. And their menu always features locally grown ingredients that are fresh. Their emphasis is on all natural. They cook their pastas and breads from scratch. It's It's absolutely fabulous. Frugati's restaurant, it's there on Coffee Road, 600 Coffee Road. Go out there and enjoy the food. I just love it. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our Anatase commercial, and we'll be right back to say goodbye.
President Trump has created security as national security, and in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, Anatase Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. Anatase Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes, as well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, Anatase Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of Anatase Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting-edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting-edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we the private sector are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of Anatase Products. Anatase Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County, is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Stratolaunch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is Anatase Products that has provided the manufactured devices. And the president, Scott Baker of Anatase Products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact Anatase Products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873, located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi, for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denise Gary Show. Give President Trump a call him on his comment line. Send him a tweet, send him an email, whatever you want to do, but let the president know it's time to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group. Thank you for listening to the Denise Gary Show. Look forward to being right back with you tomorrow on Tuesday. This is Denise, signing off.
Thank you for listening to The Denise Gary Show. Intelligent talk media.